بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Continuing in the general principles, the general points with regards to memorizing, reading, and understanding. We left off on the 15th point. The author says, الاستفادة من مشايخ العلم وعدم التفريط في دروسهم. It says benefiting from the scholars of knowledge, learning, benefiting, studying from the mashayikh of ilm, and not to fall short in going to their lessons and attending their classes. وهذا من أعظم الأمور بل هو من أصول التحصيل العلمي. والاستفادة من مشايخ العلم ليست مقصورة على علمهم فحسب، بل يتعدى ذلك إلى النظر في شريف أخلاقهم وجميل آدابهم مع الآخرين. He says this is one of the most important things for the student of knowledge. Rather, it's one of the most fundamental things with regards to taking knowledge. This is one of the original ways of getting knowledge, is to benefit from the mashayikh of knowledge. And you just don't get knowledge from them, but you actually learn how they conduct themselves and how they behave and deal with other people. So we see here the student of knowledge is supposed to have a good and healthy relationship with the mashayikh, with the ulama, with the people that he can sit with. They can teach him. They explain the classical, traditional text to him. He learns patience, forbearance. He learns dedication. He learns humility. He learns confidence and bravery, courage. He learns consistency. And all of these different things he learns from the mashayikh and the ulama. Obviously, there are many different misconceptions regarding this point. On the right wing and on the left wing, which both wings belong to the same bird. Or say a right wing extremist or a left wing, this is the same. Those who say don't sit with the mashayikh at all. You don't need their classes. You don't need to learn from them at all. And those who say don't read books, don't do research, don't benefit from the actual school, the jamia, just sit with the mashayikh and sit with the ulama. Okay? Those who say I don't need the scholars to learn. Those who say you can't learn unless you have the scholars. Okay? Those who say I don't want to sit in the classes because I don't want to show off. I don't want people to think that I'm trying to be seen. I don't want to be a part of a club or a clique. And then those who only go to the classes and it seems as if they only go just to be seen. And many people, many mashayikh, their durus become like a club. It becomes like a nightclub. It becomes like a boxing match, okay, in which everyone is there just to be seen. Oh, Fulan was there. And both of these sides of extremism, wallahi, is not an exaggeration. We've seen and experienced both of them. Okay, people who don't study, who don't learn, who don't teach, who have no aspirations of any type of obtainment of ilm, but you'll see them at every single class with this sheikh and trying to get as close to him as possible. Okay, you'll see him trying to set things up, wal-iyadhu billah. Okay, and if you ask him a basic question, he wouldn't know. Some of the people don't even know Arabic. But you find them having the most diligence just to sit and to be seen. Without no studies on the side, learning Arabic, what did the sheikh talk about? That's not important. What's important is that you saw me in this circle. You saw me here. So therefore, when it's time to go back to my country, everyone knows I sat with Sheikh Fulan when I was in Medina. And all the fringe benefits of sitting with Sheikh Fulan, I'll get, even though I have no ilm whatsoever. Or I don't even really respect Sheikh Fulan, and the proof of that is the moment he's refuted by another Sheikh, we just drop him like a hot plate, literally. Okay? Wal-iyadhu billah. Or the people who say that you don't need to get good grades in the Islamic University of Medina. It doesn't matter if you pass or not, as long as you sit with the scholars. And wallahi, we've heard this. People who say the only reason why you're there in Medina and the only reason why you go to school and have attendance is to sit with the scholars. That's it. In other words, the Islamic University of Medina is nothing more than a provider of a visa. Wallahi, we've seen this and we've heard this with our own two eyes, unfortunately. We've seen people who will fail horribly and miserably in the school, but they'll be diligent in the classes. And the actual systematic knowledge, the actual evaluation that you get in the school, they neglect. That's sad, and that is unfortunate. There may be a time in which the class of this sheikh is on a higher level. It's way above their heads, but they'll sit there, and there's another class on Ajurumiyya, there's another class on Sarf, there's another class on the basics of Tajweed and this and that, the smaller mutun, they won't attend. Unfortunately, a year, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, they go back to America or the UK or Canada, and the knowledge is all over the place. They don't know usul al-fiqh, they don't know usul al-hadith, they don't have the qawa'id and the usul of istinbat, they don't have no systematic foundation, and they just have a bunch of sound bites and clips that they've just picked up over the years, and they just throw and hurl at people. That's sad and it's unfortunate. Also, the other side of extremism, you find brothers, they'll travel to Medina and they'll sacrifice their years and their livelihood and their youth and so on and so forth and sit in their dorms. They'll just sit in their dorms, or let's go play volleyball, or let's go play basketball, let's go to McDonald's or Burger King and just hang out. And they won't take advantage of the mashayikh and the ulama that are there, that are providing classes, tutoring, teaching. And you ask yourself, why did you come here? What did you leave California for, or Michigan, or New York? Why are you here? Go back to America if you just want to eat burgers and french fries and milkshakes all day. It doesn't make any sense. And other people, they may say certain negative things and derogatory things and push the beginning students away from actually sitting and learning and taking the nurturing from the ulama. And that's on the side of extremism, as we've explained. The correct way is to be in the middle. It's to do good in school. It's to have your own personal tutors on the side, even if they're not household names. But they're tutors. They're skilled in fara'id. They're skilled in nahu and sarf. They're skilled in tajweed. They can teach you actual skills. Sheikh Fulan's class has 500 people there. Sheikh Fulan's class has 100 people. He's not teaching you no skills. He's giving a general lecture. Or he's explaining a book which has some skills, but it's not hand-on tutelage that the one person, which only 3 of you or 5 of you, can actually give you. So there's a balance. As we said, there's a balance. You sit with the mashayikh, the kibar, those big household names. You sit with the small, unknown tutors that are qualified. You read your own books. You do your research in the library. And you also listen to the audio recordings, whether it's MP3, whether it's iPod Touch. Back in the day, we had tapes. There was no super duper electronics. We had actual cassette tapes. And we should listen to the tapes of Sheikh Al-Albani, Silsilat al-Huda wal-Nur, okay? And the tapes of Bin Baz, and Nurun ala Darb, and Ibn Uthaymeen, Sharh al-Wasitiyya, and this book and that book. Some tapes of Sheikh Muhammad Amin al-Shinqiti, okay? Sheikh Hamad al-Ansari, Sheikh Muqbil's tapes, and the other mashayikh as well. We would listen to their tapes even though we never met any of them. They had died or passed on before we got there, but we benefited from them tremendously. So what I advise as a student of knowledge is do everything and do not restrict yourself to one technique. It's to have an open, free, fluid, lucid mind, okay? Far from stagnation, far from crystallization. And that you take whatever is available. Once more, you read by yourself. Once more, you research. Once more, you have a debate with your friends and your neighbors. You have munaqasha. Every single night we will have debates on hadith every day. We will be sparring and fighting, every night. This one and that one. Waqala wa akhraj, udhkur, give us a fayda. Wallahi, we walk from the Prophet's masjid. We will go home. We will sit. We'll eat our bread and yogurt, or if we had chicken and rice, whatever we were fortunate enough to eat, and we will fight and we will argue. Me and my neighbor, we would just go over masail all day, every day. Read Zaylai, Nasb al-Raya, this one, that one, fulan. You do that. And then you also go to Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abad's durus, and you sit with him and you write notes. And you benefit, and you watch, and you pay attention for years. And you have the other mashayikh, you go to their homes, you ask them questions, you sit with them after Asr for a little bit. You combine everything and never restrict yourself to one way. And the same applies to the mashayikh. Don't just restrict yourself to one form or one pattern. Learn from all of them, benefit from all of them, because they all have strengths and they all have weaknesses. They all have things that they focus on, And there are things in which they're not focusing on because they don't have the time, or don't have the skill, the ability. That's not their takhassus. وهكذا. So you learn all around the board. Then obviously you're going to have a few mashayikh that you are closer to than others. Whatever makes you closer to them. Their availability towards you. Naam. There's a reality. Some mashayikh are far more welcoming than others. Some mashayikh, they won't let you ask questions. They won't let you walk with them and walk them to the car in the Prophet's masjid, down into the basement, to the parking lot. They say, leave me alone. What do you want? Some mashayikh will. Some mashayikh, you can go over their homes, and some mashayikh will actually befriend you. You go over their house and they'll sit with you and they'll say, no questions right now. Let's just drink our tea and eat our dates and talk. Wallahi. And they say just like that. And it says, how are you doing? What's going on? How's America? So on and so on and so forth. And they'll talk. Some mashayikh will actually allow you to have a debate. Munaqasha. You can sit and spar with them and they don't take it as an offense. I'm older than you. I'm Sheikh Fulan. I'm Dr. Fulan. No. And they will welcome the fawa'id that you give them. Some mashayikh, you go over their houses and you give them salams and you open up a book and you start reading to them. You don't ask him permission. You just start, Qala Ibn Abdul Bar, and he starts listening. Jazakallah khairan. And he may make a ta'liq. And he said, I'm very happy that you came and visited me today. Some mashayikh, you're in the Prophet's masjid. You can't talk to them personally. Okay? They have health issues and the list goes on. So therefore, the point is that the concept of learning from the mashayikh and benefiting from their lessons is a long topic. Perhaps we'll devote a specific series of lectures to it, a specific playlist in the future. What's important is just from the general points for the student knowledge is to benefit from their lessons and take from them. As far as the people who mix apples and oranges and they say that Fulan is not sitting with the ulama because you're benefiting from the library, or Fulan is not sitting with the ulama because you're not sitting in an elementary ABC class that you sat in 10 years ago. Fulan is not sitting with the ulama because of a specific sheikh that they sit with and he chooses not to sit with. We obviously know that that's unfair, that is unjust, and that is inaccurate. What's important right now, to keep things brief, is al-wasatiyya wal-i'tidal. Is the middle course. It's to strike the middle way. Khairan inshallah. Al-amru al-akhir, the 16th and final point or piece of advice in general, before he gets into those three main tiers, how to memorize, how to read, how to understand. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. He says, kathratu tilawatil Qur'anil Kareem, is abundantly reading, abundantly reciting the glorious Qur'an. Not reading it, not reciting it here and there. He says abundantly, kathra, abundantly, all of the time. وهذا الأمر يهمله كثير من طلبة العلم. وحقيقة أن كثرة التلاوة فضلا عن كونها عبادة وتزيد الإنسان محبة لله تعالى وخشية منه فإنها مما يزيد في طلب العلم. He says this is something that many students of knowledge neglect. Many of them, they neglect this. And he says in reality, reciting the Quran, not only is it ibadah, not only does it get you closer to Allah, it makes you love Allah more and you have more khashya, fear of Allah, despite the fact that you get all the different rewards out of each letter. Despite all of this, he says it helps you and it assists you in seeking knowledge. It helps you and it assists you in seeking knowledge. Listen to these words. You are going to get closer to Allah, you're going to get rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it makes you a better student of knowledge. And it makes you a better student of knowledge. And it makes you a better student of knowledge. It helps you out. It increases your talab. Now before we move forward, one may say, how is this? How does it make you a better student of knowledge? We can all agree that it makes you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, makes you love Allah more. Where do the rulings of halal and haram come from initially? Surah Al-Ma'idah talks about what? Surah Al-Talaq talks about what? Surah Al-Nisa, Surah Al-Baqarah talks about what? What do these surahs talk about? Surah Al-Tawbah, Surah Al-Anfal. Where did the ahkam come from except from those surahs? With regards to hunting, with regards to slaughter, Surah Al-Hajj, with regards to hijab, with regards to who's a mahram, Surah An-Nur. divorce, marriage, jihad, where all of these ahkam, they come from these ayat. They come from these surahs. So if you've memorized the Quran, or if you haven't memorized it by heart, but you're extremely familiar with it, and you've memorized those ayat of ahkam, you're automatically sharper than the next student. You're automatically a notch above because you have the dalil memorized. You have the dalil at least familiar to yourself. You know where to find it. You know what Tabari said and Qurtubi said and Ibn Kathir who he quoted. So that's a major step in seeking ilm. Let alone when you want to give a talk, you have to give a class or khutbah. The imam is sick today. He can't make it, or his car is stuck in traffic, or his train, waliyadhu billah, it got held up or derailed. You have to give a talk. I haven't prepared anything. If you've memorized the Quran, you can give the khutbah just on the Quran. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Tawheed, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, from the Quran. You can talk about talab al-ilm, the virtue of ilm, the virtue of ulama, from the Quran. The dhikr of Allah, from the Quran. Anything and everything you can want is all there, and you have it in your heart. Or if you don't have enough, if, like I said, you may have only 10 minutes, you can go back and go to Ibn Kathir or Ibn Sa'di and read what they say, so on and so forth. So it's tremendous, let alone Arabic. You start talking about making yourself fasih, how eloquent you are and correct your tongue is. That's all from the Quran. So those who look after the Quran and give a great deal of importance to the Quran, there's no doubt. And they also study the hadiths and other sciences with other students, they are going to be sharper. They're going to have the edge. There's no doubt about that. The author, he says, وأذكر لكم وصية بنصها أوصى بها الإمام إبراهيم المقدسي تلميذه عباس بن عبد الدايم عليهما رحمة الله تعالى فقال إبراهيم لعباس. He says, now I want to give you a story, a small story, which was a piece of advice that Imam Ibrahim al-Maqdisi gave to his student Abbas ibn Abd al-Dayyim. May Allah have mercy upon them both. Ibrahim, he said to Abbas, أكثر من قراءة القرآن ولا تترك فإنه يتيسر لك الذي تطلبه على قدر ما تقرأ. He said, constantly and abundantly read the Quran. Do not leave it off, do not abandon it. Because that which you're seeking will become easy based off of how much of the Quran you read. You want to study Nahu and Sarf. You want to study fiqh. You want to have akhlaq and zuhud. You want to deal with the internalization of the Quran. Someone says, I studied tasawwuf and this and that, whatever the case may be. Whatever the case may be. Everybody understand the spirituality, whatever the tazkiyah, whatever word or term is used. There is no doubt. You don't have to read this book of this sheikh and maqam and this one. Read it in the Quran. Allah talks about zuhd in the grave and standing in front of him and meeting him. And the day when the hands and the feet will talk. وهكذا. And the worthlessness of this dunya. Okay? One wants to talk about it being a brave warrior for the cause of Allah. It's in the Quran. One is sick and afflicted with something. One is depressed. It's all in the Quran. The author says, قال عباس فرأيت ذلك وجربته كثيرا فكنت إذا قرأت كثيرا تيسر لي من سماع الحديث وكتابته الكثير وإذا لم أقرأ لم يتيسر. So the disciple Abbas ibn Abd al-Dayyim, he said, so I saw the effects of that. All right, and I began to try it out more and more and more. And whenever I read a lot of the Quran, listening to hadith became easier. Writing hadith became easier. Understanding hadith became easier. And if I didn't constantly read the Quran, it was no longer easy. The author, he concludes by saying, فَحَرِيٌّ بِكَ يَا طَالِبَ الْعِلْمِ أَن تُعْنَى بِهَذَا الْأَمْرِ وأن تجتهد ما استطعت في قراءة القرآن الكريم ففي ذلك زيادة رغبة وقوة عزيمة في التحصيل والطلب. He says, so it's deserving of your attention, O student of knowledge. It's deserving of your attention that you work hard, you exert yourself with regards to the Quran, and that you have higher aspirations for seeking knowledge. You have more of an appetite, more of a thirst, and more of a hunger. وستزداد حبا للتلاوة وتحصيلا للأجر مع كثرة التلاوة ستلاحظ أنه يمر بك آيات تحتاج إلى فهم معانيها وتمر عليك كلمات قد تكون غامضة عليك تحتاج إلى فك إشكالها وتمر بك مسائل عقدية وفقهية وأصولية ولغوية وسلوكية وتربوية فيكون القرآن قد فتح لك أبواب الخير كلها والاستكثار من ذلك والاستغلال عائد إلى عزيمة طلب العلم أو طالب العلم. The author, he says, when you take this technique, all right, and you continue to read and recite the Quran, you'll begin to love it more. You'll become more fond of it. And you'll become more greedy for the reward. He says, and you'll find all different types of ayats that you'll pass by, which you may not understand them. You may not know the words of them. And you need to research them and look them up. You'll find all types of issues of aqidah, issues of fiqh, issues of usul al-fiqh, issues of the Arabic language, issues of character, issues of cultivation, like we just explained. He says, so therefore the Quran will open up every door of good. So it's only something that you should do. The smart student knowledge is going to do this. The author says to do it in abundance, to take advantage of it, and to increase bi'idhnillahi ta'ala your aspirations with regards to seeking ilm. So that is the end of the quote-unquote introduction. Afterwards is the 3 sections of the book: how to memorize, how to read, and how to understand. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who can implement those pieces of advice that we have heard. And many of them, as we said, this is just a small introduction, a brief breaking of the ice, quote unquote. And many issues need more attention, more detail, which perhaps we'll do in the future. Allah surely knows best. Thank you very much for listening. May Allah Azza wa Jal allow you to be a true student of knowledge. May Allah allow the speaker to become a true student of knowledge. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.